The first time Ijeamaka looked at me, I swear, my heart nearly leaped out of my chest. It was the kind of look that makes you feel both seen and invisible at the same time. She was laughing with her friends and her eyes caught mine, just for a second, but that second felt like forever. Everyone in Umuko village knew about Ijeamaka. She was the kind of beauty you only saw once in a lifetime. People would say she was born on a day when the gods were pleased, that she had been blessed with more than just beauty. She had this quiet strength about her, like she knew who she was and didn't need to prove it to anyone. Ijeamaka was 22, still unmarried, which was an unusual in our village. By her age, most girls were already wives, some with babies on their backs. But Ijeamaka was different. Many men had tried, men far more handsome and wealthy than me. They'd bring gifts to her parents, hoping to win her hand. She'd always smile politely, say her thanks, and then they'd leave with nothing but broken hopes. It wasn't just her looks, though she was striking. I still remember how she looked that day, her dark skin glowing under the sun, her hair cut short and crowned with an African-style band. She wore a colorful Ankara wrapper, tied perfectly around her waist, and stood in front of her family's hut like a queen. She looked simple but powerful. A girl from the village, yes, but with the grace of royalty. One day, I was at the market selling yams when I heard she had been seen near the stream. It wasn't unusual. Most of the women went there to fetch water or wash clothes. But I had to see her again, even if it was just from afar. So, I left my yams with my cousin and headed to the stream. When I got there, I saw her sitting by the water, her feet dipped in, laughing softly with some children who were playing nearby. She looked so free, so at peace, that for a moment I couldn't bring myself to approach her. But then she looked up and saw me standing there, half hidden behind a tree. "Chukwudi," she said, smiling. My name had never sounded as sweet as it did from her lips. I walked over, trying not to stumble on my own feet. We talked about nothing in particular, just small things. She asked about my family, my yam, my business, and somehow I found myself telling her things I'd never told anyone. It was like I could be completely myself around her. From that day, we met often by the stream. I'll make excuses to go, and somehow she'd always be there. I never dared ask her why she wasn't married yet, but I wondered if maybe she was waiting for something or someone. One day, after months of these quiet secret meetings, I finally found the courage to ask her how she felt about me. I remember my palms were sweating and I couldn't look at her in the eyes. She stayed silent for a moment and I thought I had made a mistake. Then she said, "Chukwudi, sometimes a girl knows what she wants and it isn't about wealth or appearance. It's about feeling at home." That was all she said, but I knew what she meant. I stood there trying to process what Ijeamaka had just said. It's about feeling at home. Her words replayed in my head as we both sat in silence by the water. She didn't need to say anything else. The way she looked at me, the quiet kindness in her eyes, made everything clear. I wanted to reach out to hold her hand, but I kept my distance, not wanting to ruin the moment. From then on, things changed. Our meetings by the stream grew more frequent, our conversations deeper. Ijeamaka was like any girl I had ever known. While other girls were worried about marriage and children, Ijeamaka had dreams. She wanted to see the world beyond Umuko, to visit the busy markets in Lagos, to see the oceans she'd only heard about. "I want to know what's out there, Chukwudi," she would say with a spark in her eyes. I'd nod, listening, though a part of me feared that someday she'd actually leave our small village. But each time we talked, I felt like she was slowly becoming my world. I couldn't imagine life without her laughter, without her gentle teasing, without the warmth of her presence. One evening, as the sun dipped low, casting everything in a golden glow, I decided I couldn't wait any longer. I had saved up enough from my yam business, and I was determined to make her my wife. I spoke to my mother about it, and she clapped her hands in delight, already imagining the grandchildren. But my father was more cautious. "Chukwudi, do you know what you are getting into?" he asked. "Ijeamaka is special. She's not like other girls. Are you sure you are enough for her?" His words stung, but I understood what he meant. Everyone in Umuko respected Ijeamaka's independence and beauty, but there was an unspoken fear that she was meant for something more. People worried that marrying her might be like caging a bind with wings too large for any cage. People worried that marrying her might be like caging a bird with wings too large for any cage. But I didn't listen. That night I gathered my courage and went to her family's hut. Her father greeted me warmly, knowing me from the village, and her mother smiled, but I could see the curiosity in their eyes. I explained my intentions and how deeply I cared for Ijeamaka. They listened, nodding, but her mother asked if I had thought about what it meant to be with someone like her. I told them what I had thought about for weeks. That I wasn't trying to control Ijeamaka or limit her dreams. I just wanted to be by her side, to support her in any way I could, even if it meant letting her go someday. Ijeamaka's parents were silent, but they seemed satisfied. Her father called her into the room, and she appeared, her face glowing in the firelight, her eyes questioning. I held her gaze, and for the first time I felt she was really seeing me, not just a village boy, but a man willing to stand beside her. "Ijeamaka," I began, my voice trembling, "I don't know if I'll ever be enough for you. I don't have much, but I love you, and I want to be with you, even if it's just to watch you fly. Will you marry me?" She didn't answer right away. Instead, she looked at me with an intensity I'd never seen before. And then she smiled, a soft, tender smile that felt like a promise. "Chukwudi," she said, "I've been waiting for you to ask." And that was it. The next week, our families gathered and the village celebrated our engagement. Ijeamaka looked radiant, surrounded by her friends and family. People came from neighboring villages just to see her, the girl everyone thought could never be tamed, standing there by my side. But as the weeks passed, I knew what I had to do. I could see the restlessness in her eyes, the dreams she still carried. I had promised to support her dreams. So one morning I told her to go, to see the world, just as she had always wanted to. "I'll be here, Ijeamaka," I told her, my voice thick with emotion. "When you're ready to come home, I'll be waiting." She looked at me surprised, but then she understood. And though it was hard to say goodbye, I knew it was the right thing to do. I watched her leave, her figure growing smaller and smaller until she disappeared over the hill. For months I waited. People said I was foolish, that she had found someone richer, someone better. But I held on, knowing that she had left a part of herself with me. And one evening, just as the sun was setting, I saw her walking back down that same hill, her eyes bright, her smile wild. She had returned, and though she had seen the world, she had chosen me. Ijeamaka became my wife, and together we built a life filled with love, adventure, and quiet joy. She still dreamed big, but we dreamed together. And in our little village of Umuko, we found our own piece of the world, our own kind of home.